So Big Baby Davis did a sit down with Cameron from the It Is What It Is podcast. Some of you know him as Killer Cam from Dipset. And I gotta say, Big Baby spilled the beans on what's going on with that fraud case that he had with the NBA and their retirement medical plan. And before we get to the sit down, just to give a backstory, Terrence Williams, the former lottery pick in 2009, I believe he was the 11th pick. He ran an insurance scam on the NBA's retirement medical plan, which is unreal, $4 million. So basically he had other players signing off saying that they got dental work and various other medical treatments from different clinics. And basically they signed off on forms that he would send them, and then he would send that kickback to the league to get a reimbursement, and the players would cut him a certain percentage of depending on how much money they got back. So in total, it added up to $4 million. This scheme ran from 2017 to 2020. And in 2021, the NBA started to notice some of the reimbursement forms that were actually coming in. And this is how sloppy shit was. The header and footer and a lot of the misspellings on the paperwork, if something just didn't seem right. And they would see multiple sets of forms coming from one clinic with the same time and date, which kind of, gives them a red flag. So it looks like Terrence Williams wasn't keeping up with the paperwork, not realizing that, hey, he already sent a fake form with a certain time and date and a player's name who at the same time was actually overseas playing a basketball game in Taiwan. So it definitely ran a red flag on the NBA side, and they instantly notified the feds. Again, this was sloppy work. About 18 NBA players were caught up in this, from Sebastian Telfair, Tony Allen, aka one of the Kobe stoppers from back in the day with the Celtics, Darius Miles, and Big Baby Davis. But right here, Cameron sits down with Big Baby so he can give his side of the story. And keep in mind, we have to have some grace for NBA players, especially when they go through the retirement phase, because it's almost like them going through the athletic death. With the NBA lifestyle is going to come down, the fame is going to come down, the kind of accolades, the kind of overpraising when they leave the courts from family and friends and just people in the public. So they kind of go through it when they first retire. But Big Baby Davis gives us some insight on what was going on with them. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
So in November of last year, you was facing up to 20 years for allegedly defrauding the NBA healthcare program, and ended up getting 40 months and 3 years supervision, if I'm not mistaken. And that just took place, and you're supposed to go in later this year. I read a lot about this, like I told you before we started this segment, but I didn't want to read. I wanted you to tell me exactly what happened, so therefore we don't have to hear it from anybody else.
So, to explain the situation,
and not to cut you off, remember when talking about this, you're gonna have a lot of people saying, "Oh, that's what happened," or "That's what didn't happen," because a lot of us, including myself, we always hear third party. So I want you to be very detailed, if possible, exactly from top to bottom what happened.
Yeah. So what it is the NBA Players Association and the NBA, right? They came together with a collecting and bargain agreement. And with the collecting and bargain agreement, the players and the owners put money in a pot. And that money in the pot goes to the health care for you after your career.
Right. Let me ask you this, because I don't know. Is this for the rest of your life, or is it a certain limit? Okay, so once you're in the NBA, and is it a certain amount of years you need to play to get the health care? 4 years. Okay. You're available to. So if you play 4 years in the NBA, you'll have health care for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And you'll also have the best health care for the rest of your life. That plan is A1 from the NBA. That's one of the beauties of being part of that fraternity. They take care of you for the rest of your life, and that healthcare plan is A1. It is premium. So just to paint a perfect picture right here, just imagine the levels of desperation that these guys are going to just commit a couple of $100,000 of schemes after retirement to eventually get kicked off that plan, knowing that they have medical issues from dealing with that grueling 82-game schedule plus travel.
Gotcha. I just want to understand.
But you got to put the money in. You have to put the money in, and the owners will match what you put in.
Okay. So basically, I'm just being transparent because I don't know. Let's say you out your pocket, Glen Davis's pocket, you have to put 90,000 in.
I have to put.
And the owners will
I had to
put 90.
I think it was 16,000 at the time.
Okay, I was just using a
And so
hypothetical.
the owners matched it.
Okay.
And that goes to your health care.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, as players, when I retired, I didn't know. I wasn't in touch with the Players Association. It wasn't like they sent me a brochure like, hey, this is what you have. And then my financial advisor didn't know nothing about it, and so when
That right there is a red flag. You should already know his financial advisor, more than likely, it could be, a family friend or just a longtime friend from around the way, because that healthcare plan is one of the premiums of working in the NBA. That's why players not only try to hit that retirement of the 10 years to get that pension, but also the 4 years to get that healthcare plan for the rest of their lives.
I was working out in Vegas, and one of the players, Alan Anderson, came up to me and asked me, he said, hey, are you paying cash for, your injuries and everything you've been through? And I was like, yeah. And so he was like, hey, you have, health insurance, I was like, okay. He's like, how do I get, attached to it? How do I figure it out? And after conversating with him, he taught me how to get into my account and see how much money I had. And so I looked and I had a lot of money. And, it was shocking to me because in 2015, my last year with the Clippers, I broke my ankle. But the thing was, the Clippers misdiagnosed me. And they were just saying that it was, hey, me being overweight, and you broke, and your foot sore, because before I came to the Clippers, I had a fifth metatarsal break. That when I broke it.
What is that exactly?
A fifth metatarsal break is the pinky bone, right? It's like the pinky bone, right, in your foot.
Okay.
And so I snapped that bone, and with that being such a little bone and me being so big, it was kind of hard for me to heal. So I had to get another surgery, right? And so I had to go back in and take a graft piece of my hip and a screw about this big, right, to put in my foot, and then put the bone marrow over it and then let it heal.
Wow.
Because the original, I don't know why the doctor didn't do it before, but they said it's just procedure that they have to let it do it first by its own and see if it heals.
Right.
But it didn't. So I had to go back in, get the screw, get the bone graft, and then that was my second surgery on my foot. But then I was with the Orlando Magic at the time. So the process was easier, right? I was in-house. I had somebody watching me every day. I had somebody making sure I was eating the right things, doing the right stuff. And so the process of healing was better. But the Clippers assumed that it was that injury. And so they didn't tell me it was broken. When I left the Clippers facility for my last exit meeting, it wasn't an MRI. It wasn't anything to, hey, let's check on your foot to see if it's okay.
Let me ask you this before you go on. When you say the Clippers didn't tell you it was broken, were you telling them, hey, my foot is hurting, something's not right?
Yeah.
And you were going to get tests or something like that to where they should have told you your foot was broken?
Yeah, so when I broke my foot, it was, I think, Game 4, Game 5 against the Spurs.
Okay.
And
this is the Clippers versus
this is
the
the Clippers against the Spurs.
Okay.
And it was a difficult year because Doc was the president, and he just paid Spencer Hawes $22 million, and he wasn't fulfilling his duty during the year.
Right.
And so when the playoff came, he came to me, somebody that he knew, that he can trust, And so I jumped all on that because I've never sought so much with him. Like, I didn't play a lot. Like, I played 10, 15 minutes here.
Right.
Blake and DeAndre were the horses, and then he paid Spencer to kind of, he paid Spencer a range shooting four, but, couldn't really defend. So,
Right.
He would rather live with me than, live with Spence. So I started to play in the playoffs.
Okay.
And Game 5, I broke my ankle.
Okay.
I was trying to deflect the ball from Thiago Splinter, and then, I tried to pivot to go back the other way, and my ankle just pow.
Right.
And so As you can see, I had to get wheelchaired off.
Right.
And,
I remember that.
And I didn't get any real X-rays, right, or MRIs or anything like that. It was just like, oh, your foot's, you're overweight, your foot's just not healthy.
So just so we're clear on where you're at right now, you know something happened during the game. You get wheelchaired off. No X-ray, no MRI.
At the end of the season, no X-ray, no MRI.
Yeah, it's during the playoffs. It's the end of the season. More than likely, they're not going to re-sign him. Doc probably wasn't happy the way he was performing. But again, keep in mind, this is when Doc Rivers was stressed out because he was the president. I believe he hired his son, Austin Rivers, not too long in that small Clippers era. But he was under a lot of pressure. So Big Baby Davis giving a nice little backstory right here.
You're just assuming that
it's just sore, what they're telling me. And so I'm going back to Baton Rouge to rehab.
Okay.
As I go back to Baton Rouge to rehab, I'm feeling it's not feeling right. Something's wrong. And so I get another check, and they did an MRI and an X-ray, and they was like, yo, your foot's broken. And so at that time, it was September. And when September hit, as you know, like a basketball season, it's ready to start. And so my foot's broke. I can't go and try out for anybody. And so now I get into this big depression.
Right.
And that's...
Now, Big Baby Davis, I got to ask you a question right here. What was going on in those other off-season months? Wouldn't you normally have to be working out and already kind of be in shape to work your way into a contract in September? So how do you find out then that your foot is broken? Shouldn't you have already gotten the MRI? We're just getting a nice little backstory on Big Baby Davis's mindset, because sometimes he relies, or he's just a little nonchalant, but he does overly rely on other people to kind of direct his life and steer things a certain way.
When, I didn't have the help. I broke my foot on their time, but I couldn't go to their facilities. I had to go to somebody else's facilities where there's thousands of other people there working out, and never really having the one-on-one as like the NBA gives you. If I broke my foot playing in the playoffs, I should be able to still have that access no matter if I was a free agent or not. I was working. So, I didn't have that, and that was tough, because at the same time I was dealing with a divorce, and I was also dealing with my agent's brother got murdered by his spouse.
Now, that's a lot to unpack right there. Once again, Big Baby Davis at this point was already 4 years into the league, so he is already a part of that health insurance plan. So he could have just went through a rehab and got reimbursed for it. But again, it goes to show you, his agent, knowing that he's in that situation, he's fighting through an injury, it's the offseason, he needs to be healthy before the season starts to possibly get a contract, and they have no idea of the health insurance coverage that they can just go to a place and do rehab and get reimbursed for the fees. That's kind of crazy.
And it killed him, and it killed me also too.
Let's not rush past that.
Mm-hmm.
Your agent's brother got killed by his spouse.
Yeah, by his brother's girlfriend. They had a kid together. She shot him in the head.
How did that affect you, or what you had going on, if it's your agent's brother?
Yeah, because my agent, John Hamilton, his brother was Daryl Hamilton, baseball player.
Okay.
Played for the Mets, played for the Rockies, was an MLB analyst. John Hamilton was a father figure to me.
Gotcha.
When I was 14, and he's seen that I had promise, he's always been there. Paying my cell phone bill, making sure that I eat, making sure that, I have food, or being able to go on a class trip. Like, he was always there for me.
Right.
Now, right there, it goes to show you the agent was the homie. He was the, I would say, the mentor. He definitely was that for Big Baby Davis going through his life. And he hooked him up. He made him his agent, knowing that he's going to collect a certain percentage of his contract. And it is what it is. But there's a lack of knowledge there from his agent, because what they don't really know is what could really help Big Baby Davis land another contract.
And so now when he comes to a point when his brother dies, like, You know, you don't expect that. Now he got to raise his brother's son, you know, and so that hit me also too because I didn't have his attention, especially.
That's what I was going to ask you, because maybe the attention you may have been getting from him it got diverted because he had a family tragedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was going through a real tough time at trying to figure out my career and like, is this it? And you know, that happened, you know, and then you know, I got the drug charge. That was the drug charge after that, you know.
Yeah, just going through that divorce, catching charges, having too much free time. It sounds like a typical NBA player or just any mega athlete from any sports league just coming off that high of just living off that NBA life with the girls, the attention, the big checks coming in every week, every month, etc., etc. But again, right here, we're getting a nice backstory on the mindset of Big Baby Davis, some of his personality traits, his over-reliance on certain institutions like his agent, the NBA organizations, not getting a second opinion on his leg, knowing that he's a free agent, waiting all the way to September to find out his foot's broken. And right now, at this exact moment right here, he's going to acknowledge the fallout between him and Doc Rivers.
Do you feel betrayed by the Clippers organization and Doc Rivers?
In a way, I do.
Yeah.
When you think about that year, you know, yeah, I'm not perfect, but Doc knows me. He knows my heart.
Right.
He's seen me play trillions of times and knows that, you know, I'll give anything, you know, to be able to play for my teammates and to be able to be on the floor. But that year, Houston, you know, he takes me out the game and, you know, it's heated. I say, Doc, what you brought me here, man? Like, I'm on the ball.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to play. He looks at me and says, go to the back. Just go to, like.
Go to the back. We about to blow another 3-1 lead. Yo, Doc Rivers, man. I should have did that with a raspy voice, but yeah, Doc Rivers was all over the place as a president. Not every coach can actually handle that, being the president and coach. We've seen a lot of great coaches actually fall while being in that role. But again, right here, Big Baby Davis is about to explain him and Doc Rivers actually having beef, which may be the first time a lot of us is hearing this. Shout out to Cameron from Dipset. Who would have thought? He dropped this exclusive.
At first, I didn't want to move. I said, I'm not going nowhere.
Right.
I'm under my belt. I'm not going nowhere. You're not about to kick me off.
Right.
And then when he got the security to, like, come on, Glenn, in the middle of a game.
So what, sending you to the end of the bench and sending back to the
Sending
locker
me
room?
in the locker room during the game.
Okay, I'm sorry.
For coming off the court and saying, hey, Doc, what you brought me here for, man? I want a ball. I want to, come on, man, let me eat.
Right.
He knew that's how I was when I was a rookie. That's, you know.
It's your personality and
yeah,
your
and
drive.
so, yeah, he kicked me off. So I knew, you know, it wasn't the same Doc. You know, I knew I've came to a situation where, you know, Doc, you know, has a different role and has more pressure on him, and now he is trying to save his own, you know?
Basically save his ass.
Save his own ass,
Right.
you know what I mean? You know, you think about it, like, you know, the things that he was doing, you know what I mean? I think he was all doing it for himself, like.
Because he wasn't just the coach, he's the GM as well.
Yeah, it was the president at the time.
President, okay.
And you know, when you're the president, you can go sign your son.
And give him millions of dollars that he might not
Yeah,
deserve.
so he was doing anything he wanted. He liked.
You notice the slight right there? When you're the president, you can go sign your son. Man. Doc Rivers catches a lot of flack for that, but the fact that Big Baby Davis is still bringing this shit up years later is crazy. But again, right here, we're about to see that, yeah, they really got beef.
Like Spencer Hawes because, you know,
Yeah,
Doc like white guys. You know, he love them. You know, I know sad he like black guys too, but a white guy that can shoot and.
You saying he cool with black guys, but he love him some white guys.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what
he
you're trying
love
to
them
say.
white. Yeah.
A coon.
Yo, you hear Big Baby Davis? Yeah. Come on, Big Baby. That whole team. JJ Redick was the only white guy, man. There was a bunch of brothers on that team. Come on, let's not cap.
Who you calling him?
Low key.
A low-key coon.
Low key.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uncle Tom.
Low key.
Tap dance nigga.
Ta-da.
That's what you saying?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Woo, right there. Yo, we had no idea that these guys had smoke like this. This is that '08 Celtics championship team. Doc Rivers got smoke with Big Baby? Man, Garnett and Pierce got to fix that. That is not good at all.
Now, are you blaming him as well for not having the team doctors diagnose you with this broken foot? Because, you know, and I know we've been speaking, but we haven't spoke a lot about it, but you were telling me during the games that they might have shot you up.
Yeah,
like,
so when I broke my foot, they didn't tell, when I did that, they didn't tell me, hey, your foot's broken, right? And so I figured, hey, you know, it's kind of sore. Let me shoot it up then if it's not broken, you know? But it was broken and I was shooting it up and I didn't know it was broken.
Right.
So that alone is you're trying to play.
It up more.
You're wrapping it up. You're still trying to run on it. You're playing in a hot, you know, you're trying to, like, I played on it and I had like 7 and 6 and 15 minutes. I still, you know, played good. But after the third shot against Houston, we were up 3-1. And Doc was, hey, man, you're not coming, like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Armand Hill was kind of like assistant coach. He was the one that was kind of like his little minion, you know. And he comes to me, he's like, you're not in shape. I'm like, man, something wrong with my ankle. And then they bench me. And I couldn't really move anymore. And then we end up, it was 3-1, and we end up losing the series.
Wow.
So he's upset, you know what I mean? So, you know, he's not focused on me, a free agent that he's like, I'm not bringing him back no more, you know what I mean? Right. So it's just like he wasn't focused on that. So am I disappointed a little bit? Yeah, I am, because, you know, I never left him at the altar.
Right.
You know,
gotcha.
Since a rookie, I was there. You know, I was
and when he called you to get ready,
I was the only rookie there. I was a rookie on that team for 3 years because everybody else was getting cut, you know, or not playing anymore. You know, me and Avery Bradley are the only ones that stayed because, you know, we had a light. You know, we had some talent. So I do feel some way. You know, I wish they could have gave me that option. Right? Hey, it's broke.
Right.
Don't play on it.
Gotcha.
Get surgery.
Right.
Get ready for next year.
Right.
You know, but it didn't happen like that.
Once again, Big Baby relies too much on the institutions to actually guide his career in a perfect route. He's going to have to take more of an initiative. And that very same mindset is what kind of got him caught up in this scam, as we'll learn later on. And even entering into that offseason, he had ample time to figure out that his ankle was broken, but he waited until September knowing that he was a free agent. He was looking for a contract. He was supposed to be already in playing shape, already training throughout the whole summer to be ready in September to enter training camp. Again, right here, we're unpacking his mindset. He's a little bit too over-reliant on institutions to guide his career in the right path. You would think with him being in the league around the same time as LeBron, he would take some of his blueprint off that tree and apply it to himself. Just take control of your own career, man.
That's wild. So what? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to.
So all that stuff is happening,
right?
You know.
Is he suing you because of this?
Yeah, I got sued too. Okay. Yeah, I get sued, and now my second time getting arrested. Now I'm on probation, you know, and trying to figure things out, and at the same time trying to figure out my acting career, and I'm in the music industry with my artists and stuff like that, trying to get, you know, open doors like that. I was just super depressed, man.
Right.
You know, I didn't end my career like I wanted to. And
did you know you were depressed, or
no?
You didn't know?
I had no idea.
Right.
You know, smoking weed all day and being who I was, everybody is accepting. Like,
right.
It's easy to lock, you know, because, oh, you Big Baby, you know, and so I never got a chance to truly like heal. You know, it was more like on to the next person in my life, like right. Instead of like healing, you know. So after I go through all that, you know, as the assault case comes, you know, I'm trying to find space, and then I start the Big Three. And as I start the Big Three, I get more.
And when we talk about the Big Three, just for the audience, Ice Cube's league.
Yeah,
the
Ice
Big Three?
Cube's league.
The big league. So you end up playing in the Big Three.
Yeah. So I started getting ready.
Okay.
So I started to go to physical therapy, working out, trying to get right. And at the time I was at Impact Sports.
Okay.
And so that was a pivotal point because I'm finding myself again. Oh, big baby, So. But basketball, so it kind of gave me some, a little love, and that's when I run into this big case.
Gotcha.
That's what happens when I get to the Big Three. That's what all this, this crazy stuff with the NBA healthcare starts coming.
It goes to show you Ice Cube's Big Three League does have a space in the basketball ecosystem, because a lot of these guys, man, coming down from that NBA life, just in the first few years off of retirement, they're gonna need a nice little medium to kind of make that transition into regular civilian life, because it's definitely a culture shock for some of these guys to no longer be getting those six-figure checks that a lot of them been getting since the age of 18. Certain family members and fake friends are no longer around. Maybe the missus is looking at you kind of different because you're at home all day and the checks are not coming in. You guys can't live the same lifestyle you once did. And these guys have been doing basketball their whole lives. So they're trying to figure out how to transition because they still have so much more life to live. So it's almost like they have to find another brand new identity. Ice Cube, you might have something here with this Big Three. It is a perfect medium to help players during this transition.
How did we come to Glen Davis is defrauding the NBA's health and welfare plan? How did we get there?
Well, I really feel like,
Allegedly.
it first starts off with the injury.
Yeah.
Having an injury and not knowing that you can, get compensated for all the stuff that you just went through.
Right.
That was my intention. When I ran into Alan and Terrence, and I didn't know, I didn't know what truly was going on, and that's why I involved my financial advisor.
Gotcha.
To check, to dot the I, check the I's, the T, whatever, to cross the T's, whatever a financial advisor is supposed to do, to make sure that everything was legit. Me going through my life, and going through all the divorce, all that crazy stuff, I should have checked up on it and looked at it more, you know what I mean, instead of okaying things. And that's what I did, my intentions, was never to defraud. When Terrence started asking me for money, Terrence Williams started asking me for money, I was like, what the hell? Like,
Who is Terrence Williams?
Terrence Williams is a basketball player who's in this case who got 10 years.
Right.
Terrence Williams, I didn't know,
Once again, Terrence Williams is the ringleader of all this. He told the guys, hey, more than likely he approached Big Baby Davis about this. He showed him the cover letters of like the fake forms. He's like, hey, fill this out, say you got this done, and I'm gonna submit it to the league, and then I'm gonna get a reimbursement and I'll give you a percentage of the kickback.
So when he called me and started asking me for bread, I was like, nah, like, what the hell? Like, how the hell, you know what I mean? So that kind of threw me off. And then I stopped communicating with him. After that, after I did all that with him, because my financial advisor okayed it. Like, if I give my financial advisor his number and say, hey, call him, like, check on it, like, make sure everything's good.
Right, that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, but again, we already established the financial advisor was the homie, was the mentor that he had when he was growing up. So it's not like Big Baby Davis actually went out of his way to find like a more veteran agent that kind of knew the ropes.
He signs the paperwork and he says, view it. He said, view it, sign it, send it back. He didn't, my financial advisor testified and said that on the phone, he told me that it was fishy, and he never told me that, right? Why would you tell me to review it, sign it, send it back in email, and sign everything in it with your handwriting?
Right.
Like, why would you do that if you said something was fishy?
again, Big Baby Davis, an over-reliance on other people to guide his life in the right direction. That's always going to come back to bite him in the ass. And we've seen that from numerous NBA players, guys who are known of making a lot of money, guys like Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan. A lot of their fortunes have been stolen through financial advisors.
You know, that just doesn't, when you do everything for me, my financial work, taxes, divorce, mom needs money, this account needs money, somebody needs money, he's signing, making sure that they get the money.
Right.
You know, so I'm thinking it's okay, you know, so, you know, a part of me was evolve in it because my financial advisor gave me an okay.
Right.
You know, like I trust him.
Yeah, they got power of attorney.
Yeah, I trust him. Like, you know, I trust him with everything. So it's just like, you know, that was a crazy situation. And so now when he's asking for money, you know, when the everything went in, he's asking for money. I'm like, what the hell? So me and him really get into it. Where I stop answering the phone. I don't even, you know, I don't even communicate with him. But it being the NBA and him and Nate Robinson are good friends because they're from Seattle, Washington, I didn't want to create a beef. Right. I didn't want to create anything. Right. And at the same time, Terrence was struggling. Like Terrence was asking for money. Like, right. Hey man, I know I didn't get it done, man, but you know, can you give me $1,000, man? And
that's crazy. So you take advice from a dude that needed money, that was always a fringe player throughout the league, like a journeyman. Come on, Big Baby Davis. Come on, the story's something not adding up right here.
That's what I gave him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, they made it painted like I was paying him to do this and do that, but like I gave my information to my advisor. Right. So I had felt like I was okay.
Right.
You know, until he started asking me for money. And then the plan manager vetoed the plan. So basically, when everybody puts their login for the get the money, right, there's somebody watching it. Right. That person denied it. So I didn't get no money from Terrence Williams, Allen Anderson, and that whole situation with my financial advisor, me not paying attention, you know what I mean, and my financial advisor just signing like everything's okay, you know, when really it's not okay. You know what I mean? So, you know, when that situation happened, you know, with Terrence, like I bagged up, you know, and I don't get no money, and then now, you know, I'm at the big three working out, and I'm remembering all that, and my friend has this doctor, a real doctor, a guy that I trust, and I get his phone number and, you know, ask him, hey, what can I do? Do I have to come to you? You know, my mom stays in Atlanta. He told me, no, you can count the days that you were with the big three and all the work you did there and the stuff that you did. And I was like, do you remember what I did? You know what I mean? He was like, yes. And so then he does the invoices and send me the invoices. So I'm like, okay, this is what I did, and okay, this is perfect. Like I remember this. And so, you know, I file. He tells me, you know, when the money comes, he's gonna.
Real quick.
Yeah.
You see, for other players, Terrence Williams was so sloppy that other guys were playing overseas, and he still filed paperwork saying that they had doctor's appointment at the same time in the U.S., which makes no sense. But for Big Baby Davis, he probably scouted him out, noticing that he's playing in the big three, and it's a perfect opportunity to just say, hey, he needs to be reimbursed because he played in these games and he has certain aches and pains, and this is for the treatment that he received. So he saw it as a perfect opportunity to submit extra paperwork for fraud, just for the Big Baby Davis part. But he did this with 18 other NBA players.
When you're saying what you did and he sends you the invoices, could you be more specific?
So basically, you have to kind of sign paperwork, right? And with the paperwork, at this time, it wasn't like, it was just filling in information, and then you have to show the invoices of all the things that you did.
Okay.
You know, and so
when you say
the paperwork he filled out with the NBA was fine, but then when he provided the invoice receipts so he can show how much money he spent to let the NBA know what they need to reimburse, when they looked at those receipts, those invoices, it was just sloppy all around. The header, things were misspelled. Terrence Williams in a way should have just hired like a secretary to help him with this scheme because he did it completely sloppy, and that's how they got caught.
Think, like, what do you mean exactly?
So basically, like, if you got stem and ice, if you got this type of surgery, you got to
Okay.
put it on
Medical.
there. Medical.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, he sent that over. Okay, and I thought it was okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? He told me, hey, what account? I had 3 different accounts, and he asked me. He said, can I, what account you want me to send this to? And I was like, hey, send it to any one of my accounts. And I gave him my accounts to send it to. And so, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I didn't think I was defrauding, you know what I mean? Because this guy's at the big 3, he's watching, he's seeing us all work, we're all working.
So everything that you're telling me, just so I'm clear, that in your brain, or realistically, you were doing a went through, you thinking that the invoice is being sent for the stuff that you really had went through.
Yeah.
And you're saying that the invoices wasn't matching what you went through?
No, the doctor said that the invoices wasn't matching what I went through.
Right, that's what I meant.
The doctor said that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm thinking that, hey, because when the evidence came in and the prosecutors tried to make their claim, they made that claim on the different types of lifts that I was in on those days.
Right.
But they didn't realize that those lifts were at the big 3 days that I told the doctor to put in. But the doctor made it seem like, it was supposed to be in Atlanta when he was at the big 3 at those days. So,
Yeah, Big Baby Davis, it's your fault, man. You had the paperwork, the proper paperwork, but you relied on Terrence Williams submitting it to the league. When in reality, you should have just got the paperwork from the doctors from the big 3 and then have your financial advisor submit it into the NBA. See, that's where he runs into a wall. Because the judge is going to ask, why do you involve Terrence Williams? You have an insurance plan through the NBA. So it should be you, your financial advisor, and the NBA. It shouldn't be you, Terrence Williams, and your financial advisors perhaps maybe overlooking it, quote unquote. You're saying that he looked at it, but that's a little iffy. But you involved a third party. Why is Terrence Williams involved in your insurance plan? It makes no sense.
I'm just here to tell my story.
Right.
And the situation is, it sucks. You know what I mean? That the fact that you go through an injury, a real true injury, and that's where you're coming from, and, people are misusing the system.
Right. So, and I know there's still some more to talk about, but let's summarize where we're at right now. You're breaking your ankle, hurting your ankle, whatever procedure that was in Orlando you said you had.
Yeah, I had a fifth metatarsal, then I had an ankle break for the Clippers.
With the Clippers. The Clippers didn't handle this correctly, didn't let you know you had your ankle was broke. You go back home, find out your ankle's broke, so therefore in September you can't try out for a team because now your ankle's broken. Mm-hmm. Eventually you end up playing with in the Big 3 Ice Cubes League, and this is where you're meeting this doctor telling you that, hey, you still have NBA healthcare that you can use, and you're like, yeah, I'm an NBA player, let me use it. So he's misguiding basically both parties because you didn't have the knowledge on how much you could use or not.
Yeah, and what was the whole process.
Right.
I just knew what I just went through with Terrence and them, that he's not a real doctor. He shouldn't be in this motherfucking thing doing this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need to go to a real doctor.
Right.
So, because it doesn't make any sense. If I just went over here and did something here, why the fuck would I go over here and do it again?
Same thing. Exactly.
And why the fuck would you go to Terrence Williams, period, and give him the paperwork? That's where you're always going to run into the wall with the judge.
It's stupid. It's stupid. And I know it was 18 other players, but do you feel like, because you're probably the biggest name on this case as far as basketball is concerned,
I am.
Do you feel like they're trying to make an example of you?
No question.
Out of the 18 players, and it's probably more than 18 other players, probably a plethora of players, but do you feel like you're being singled out just because it's you?
Yes.
Yeah.
You think about that whole process. Like, I went on Vlad TV before my case. They used that as evidence.
Wow. Big Baby, you should already know they're always watching Vlad and people self-snitch on themselves. But to add to some more context, Let's take a look at how he pretty much laughed at the whole case when Vlad presented him the details. Let's look at his reaction and we could understand why the court actually kind of used it against him.
So when I say all this, what do you say?
Take that shit to motherfucking trial.
Shout out to
Take that
Young
shit
Thug.
to motherfucking trial. That's all it. That's
Okay.
all I got to say. Ain't no talking, ain't no cooperating. You know, this situation is the NBA didn't do their due diligence. And now, you know, you're just put in a situation where you're associated. And so now I got to go to trial because they think I did something that I know I didn't do. You know what I mean? That I know that I'm innocent. You know what I mean? The whole situation, I never got any money. That's the thing.
No money.
I
But
never
you're
got
part of
money.
this indictment.
I'm in part of this indictment.
So are you on bail right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get charged. And what's the bail amount?
It wasn't no, I don't think it was no bail. I didn't have to pay nothing.
Right. You're not exactly a danger to society
Yeah.
or a
like, I
flight
didn't have
risk
to-
or
yeah,
anything
I
else
didn't
like
have to pay
that.
nothing or nothing like that. But yeah, it was just now you're in a certain group, you know, and now they want to just tag us all in when it's not that. It's people taking, you know, advantage of the situation. So I'm going to trial because I didn't do anything.
Okay, are they offering you plea deals?
They haven't talked to me. Well, I'm not talking to them. I'm not doing no.
Right, but
you
you've
know,
lawyered up, I'm sure.
I'm lawyered up and I'm going to trial. I'm fighting.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you have to go through that.
Oh, ain't nothing. I'm gonna get my money. The NBA ain't gonna owe me because it's some bullshit.
Some bullshit.
Some really, really bullshit.
Now, once again, that right there was the exact interview that the courts had end up using against him. And you can hear the arrogance, not only with the NBA, him singing with the feds taking him to trial, that Young Thug track. Yo, Big Baby Davis, man, come on. This whole thing was sloppy. But arrogance is one hell of a thing, especially in a situation like that. Sometimes Davis is a little bit too gun-holed on the fact that he didn't make any money or take any money out of the whole ordeal. The thing is, you submitted the paperwork. That right there is part of the fraud. But again, that internet clout is one hell of a thing. But that was just a quick side note. Let's just hop right back into the interview.
I was just trying to get paid. Like,
Right.
Vlad had some money for me, and I was just like, okay, let me go viral and,
Right.
you know, I'm telling my truth, you know, because that
Right.
was my truth. But they used that like I didn't like the law, or that's the only thing I didn't like. I didn't like that part because, you know, with today's new world, a lot of stuff that you see is not what you think. Yeah, it's my
Absolutely.
personality, but like, it's not what it is to make it a judgment on this case.
Gotcha.
You know, they use that as evidence, and the judge felt some way about it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Not understanding, hey, it's a Gen Z era here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're a baby boomer, whatever that is, or like, it's different in
Yeah.
the context of the internet, especially when you're talking about, you know, going viral and clout. Like, you gotta understand it. I don't think she understood it.
You can tell right there, Big Baby Davis is not used to going through the system like that. They are not in the business of understanding nuances. All they have is the evidence of you submitting fraudulent paperwork with your name signed off on it to Terrence Williams, and he submitted it to the NBA, probably with your personal insurance information to actually put in that claim. That right there is where they pretty much got him jammed up.
Well, it was something I read, and we could clear this up for the one thing that I did breeze by. They were saying that you sent an invoice for dental work, $27,000 or $20-something thousand dollars, and the dentist was supposed to be here in Beverly Hills in California, but you were in Vegas or going on a flight to Paris, so the dates didn't match up. What do you have to say to that? Is that true? Is that not true? Or did some more bullshit that the guy did? Like,
Well,
how'd
it was
that go?
bullshit that the guy did.
Right.
But my financial advisor not understanding the difference between this, right?
Right.
I got my teeth done.
Right.
So I know you see that money missing, but like, you know damn well I ain't getting no root canal. So that's another reason why you shouldn't even fucking sign it, because that's not me. You know that I got my teeth done, but you know that's not what I got done. So why would you sign it?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so
Sounds
that
like
was
the
that.
financial advisor's making mistakes at the wrong time.
It sounds like his financial advisor is just a homie. Come on, Cam, let's keep it a buck. You know what it is.
You know what it is? Because I was going through a transition as far as, money here, money there, and the money wasn't like it was. So he was trying to leave. But at the same time, kind of like, he was still helping. You know what I mean? So I didn't pay him as much and more, so he didn't feel like he had to work. You know what I mean? Until I got a new check to be able to,
I got you.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What else do you want people to know about this situation before we move on?
I want people to know that the fact that Glen Davis is a stand-up guy. When you talk about, everything as far as the community and just being charismatic and loving people, and, what you guys see here is not me. Right. I've come from a long way. I can, make excuses of, mama on drugs, don't know your daddy, you in the hood. Like, I can make those type of excuses. But I won't, I know I have gaps, but I still work hard to get to where I am today. And I cannot let that go. Like, no matter what they feel or how they paint me, like, I worked hard to be here.
Right.
And to be able and to go to jail for health care when the NBA had negligence don't sit well with me, and so I'm here to tell my story,
Right.
Because I haven't got a chance to.
Right.
Everybody's been making their assumptions on every other thing, but they haven't heard from me.
Exactly.
And
Now, right there, it's hard to tell if he's referring to the negligence with the way the Clippers handled him or just the NBA actually accepting paperwork from Terrence Williams originally with the other 18 members. Even though his paperwork personally got rejected, but they did accept others' paperwork. So at the end of the day, Davis is going to have to take some responsibility here.
and I'm the one that got to live with this. When I go sit down and go to jail, I got to go look at them walls and deal with this. And it's unfair. I think it's unfair. And then also I want to be a testimony for athletes and mental illness. And
Here we go with that bullshit spiel, man. Come on, man. I hate this, and guys hiding behind this bullshit. Listen, how come the issues are never with the mental illness when there's no money involved? Anytime there's money being made, a check to be grabbed, it's like the mental illness trope is being used. But for anything else where there's no monetary benefit, all of a sudden, that's never a fucking excuse. It's amazing. But that's unfortunate right there, because a lot of athletes today, they kind of fall into that form of branding, even though some of them don't even suffer from them type of issues. It's almost as if the times of today are like, okay, I made a dumb mistake. I had mental issues. It's like, come on, brother. That's not what it was. Very unfortunate for those who do have real mental issues.
And bring in a new type of culture. And what I think that should be for us athletes is go to where they are, right? Don't sit and send messages and send brochures through the mail. With us, you have to be hands-on, because we don't like the show.
They are hands-on. Yo, Davis, they are hands-on. Every team has a representative. If you did the due diligence and hired a proper agent, they would have told you, hey, you could go through the medical as soon as that Clippers season ended. It wouldn't have taken you 2 months into the offseason to actually go see another doctor. Once again, he was completely unaware of the insurance plan even after he was a free agent with the Clippers, searching for a contract knowing that his foot is bothering him. That's how much his agent was uninformed.
We don't like to reflect and be vulnerable, especially at times right now. But sometimes we need that. And we need people that understand, that's been there, and to be hands-on, to go knock on the door. Because we sit under a rock and we just let things go by. I think the NBA has to do a better job at that, because why are all our NBA players either going broke or, divorced or assault, something? Like, it has to stop.
It has to stop, but a lot of that is self-inflicted, including you. He just admitted earlier in this interview that he took out $1 million cash, went back to the crib, invited 2 girls over, and just jumped around in the money, and then gave the girls a $20K here, $10K here. And then he started gambling $100K at a time until he realized the casinos, when he loses that much, especially if he borrowed the money, he got to pay $200K. So a lot of this is self-inflicted.
It has to stop. You know what I mean? Like, so I want to stand in the gap for those, because this is a situation that, anybody could have went through this. There's so many stories of athletes being mishandled, mistreated, misrepresented, in so many ways that we got to stop this. And I just want people to know, like, who I am and where I'm from and my morals and what I stand on.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
So it is what it is, man. Big Baby Davis telling his side of the story. Got to take a bit more accountability for this situation, because the feds, when they come to you, man, that case is more than likely already solved. They got all the evidence they need. And you actually submitting that paperwork to Terrence Williams instead of directly to the NBA is already a question mark. That right there is part of the fraud, not the actual acceptance of the money, which Big Baby Davis keeps alluding to, because in his mind, that right there means he would be guilty because he made the money. But according to the law, it does not work like that, man. Certain personal information that goes into that paperwork that only you would know in order to put in that claim directly to the NBA. So they know that you gave Terrence Williams that information, and that right there is the fraud along with those fake receipts. But it is what it is. Hopefully Tony Allen, Sebastian Telfair, Darius Miles, Shannon Brown, they could just either do their time and just move on from the situation, because it is an embarrassment. And at the same time, they're also robbing their fellow NBA brothers who are really going through a lot of injury issues post-retirement. And that's a really messed up way to honor that sacred fraternity that they're part of, being an NBA player.